I'm Scott Johnson. I'm the Regional Sales Manager for Tico, Piranha, Raptor Workholding. And what we're showing you today is a product that we have had approximately about a year. We have partnered with a company out of Switzerland called Piranha. And Piranha is a manufacturer that actually does 0-point work holding. They decided to build a better mousetrap, and they got into doing the vices, self-centering vices with the 0-point system. And what we're going to go over today, number one, what 0-point is, how our products fit into that category of 0-point, and then why some of the features and benefits of ours and how it works out into the marketplace. So to get you started, basically, for those who don't know what 0-point work holding is, basically 0-point uses locating studs on your product, and these locating studs then go onto a subplate or base plate that would go onto your machine. They go onto the receiver plate. Then you take your Bondus wrench here and you tighten it down, and then that locks your workpiece into the base plate. Then you just reverse the process to take it out. And the reason that you would use a 0-point type system like that, quite frankly, is just the ease of taking parts on and off of the 0-point plate. Because as you can see, I've got this part I can put on. If I have another part, here's a smaller one, I can quickly change out my work pieces rather than having to do, like a dedicated fixture, taking your part off the machine, putting it back on, indicating it in. You can just see the time saving involved. And so that's sort of the reason you would go to a 0-point system. The Piranha system, though, has two types of vices. We have what we call our snapper vise, and it has serrated jaws on it for first stop and raw casting. These serrated jaws, Nick, if you want to kind of show them what the serrated jaws are. Yep. They're 3 millimeter in length. They're hardened. They're made out of steel. And they're hardened in 62 Rockwell. There's actually 2 rows of serrations on here that sort of are on a downward angle, so that as you clamp your part, it's clamping and then pulling the part down against the bed of the vise. And the way this system is made, because it's sort of low to the bed, as you can see, you're able to get 8,000 pounds of clamping force with this vise. We do have a competitor out there called Lang. They also claim they can get 8,000 pounds of clamping force, but to do that, you have to take your raw material, buy a stamping machine. They call it something different, but it's basically a stamping machine. You put your raw material into it, and it puts serrations on the raw material. Then you take their block, put it into their vise, and now you can get 8,000 pounds. So with ours, you can do that with any part prep. So like I said, it's for first stop or raw casting applications. This size right here is 170 millimeter, and it's by it's 170 by 131, I think, is the width or the length, or 170 length, and then it's 90 millimeters wide, which is basically 3.5 inches wide. We have, it's bigger, but I don't have it here, but we have one that's 100 or 300 millimeter, which is this length, and it's also about 6.7 inches wide here. So it actually has about 11-inch opening that you can put 11-inch part in, roughly. So those are the 2 sizes that we have with this, and we just came out with the smaller little brother, which is 75 millimeters, which is roughly almost 3 inches. So, and they all come with the 0-point locators already on them. We have the 2 styles, as you can see. I told you about the snapper. This is what we call the Gepard, and the Gepard has machinable jaws. These are aluminum machinable. We also make the steel machinable. They also come in different heights. They also have a 5-point locating system on the bottom. They sort of like little claws on them, but as they go in, they lock into place, and then you lock it down with a cam system here that locks them into place, and you can change these out and put different style jaws on them. This happens to be a flat and a serrated jaw all in one jaw itself, and basically these go on just like that, and then you lock those down the same way. We have regular parallels, we have a serrated style, we have long and short throw parallels as well, where you rest your part farther back on the jaw, or like on this one you can see where it's closer to the front. We also have, what I'm showing you here is what we call a double station, which has a fixed center jaw. The outside jaws then are the same machinable jaws that I was showing you here. This was also available in both the snapper version and also obviously the Gepard version, both in the larger size and the smaller size. The base plates that we have a variety of sizes of base plates. I showed you the round one that we have here. We've got two different style of square plates, and when I say by style, I mean by the actual mounting configuration. The mounting holes are on a 40 or 50 millimeter centers, and I know it's kind of deceiving when you say 40 or 50 because it's actually 80 and 100. They go by half, so it says 40 or 50, but that's actually 80 or 100 in between the mounting holes. But the spacing of the actual 0-point system itself, the center to center of the locating holes, is a 50 millimeter spacing. And the reason that's important is because we do get asked questions about our competitors' Lang and fifth axis. Will this fit on a fifth axis or a Lang plate? As is, it will not, because Lang and fifth axis are at 52 millimeters. But we do have options available that we can adapt our products to our competitors' base plates. So the short answer is yes, we can adapt. But right out of the box, our standard does not fit. But we do have ways of getting that, so we can complement some of our competitors and get onto their base plates. And in fact, I do want to bring that up only because one of the features with our vise is it is low bed height. It's the lowest in the industry. And the reason that's a big deal, because it's a low bed height, I can get a little bit higher torque rating with it. That's why I can get the 8,000 pounds on this model and a little over 4,000 on the Gepard. It's also open bed construction, which our competitors does not have the open bed. It's more of a boat, if you will. The boat will hold the coolant and also the chips. So basically you're regrinding all that material on your center screw. With ours, the chip evacuation and the coolant all gets flushed out of these vices. And we have replaced some of our competitors because of that feature alone. They don't like the way those vices sit and have the coolant and the chips just laying there. So what we've done is we were able to provide the vices with competitor mounting on the bottom, because there was no reason for them to change out their actual base plates. Those were working just fine, but they didn't like the vices. So basically we had to put the competitor mounting on the bottom, and we were able to adapt to our competition's base plates. The base plates that I'm showing you here, basically we have a couple long ones, and the reason you do a long one is you could do a different configuration. You could put a couple vices on, maybe for different operations. These plates also come longer, they come wider. You can get up, I think, to almost roughly about 8 different configurations of vices on our larger ones. We also have these plates in various round configurations, 2 different sizes, all the way up, I think, to 200 millimeter. So, and the reason you would do that basically is whatever indexer a guy's using out in the field, because most of these really do go on like a Haas indexer is what we've been seeing anyway. The square plates would be more designed for your vertical or horizontal type applications. The round ones, we also have one here it's really round, but as you can tell, it doesn't look round, but it's really designed for a round subplate as well. It's just got a different mounting pattern on it. As you can see, there's different spacing out here. It was designed for a couple different indexers originally. We have found that it does adapt to quite a few different ones that have T-slots in them.
So there was a question here, Scott.
Sure.
Haas question mark?
I'm assuming you want to know if they'll go on a Haas machine. They will go on a Haas machine. We do have different, like I said, we do have different adapter plates that will fit on various Haas machines. Virtually they'll fit on virtually any machine. One way or another, we can get that to fit for you. So.
Mm-hmm. Good question.
We also have riser plates, because one thing in the 5-axis type work holding is you want to get either up closer to the spindle, or as the 5-axis pallet gets moved past 90 degrees, you want to get away from the spindle coming down. So by using riser plates, you'll notice our risers have 0 point on the bottom, which allows you to bolt it to the fixture that's on your table. Then you go ahead and mount the other plate on top of this, And now that allows you to basically recreate what you just did on your vertical, but using the risers. This happens to be aluminum risers. This is for one vise, and this one is for either the little ones, or you can put the larger one onto this configuration. But these risers also come in steel, but these happen to be aluminum right here. One of the other questions we get out there, we also obviously are part of it. We have Raptor Workholding, which is our dovetail side. We've had people ask, well, can the Raptor stuff adapt to your Piranha? And the answer to that is, yes, it can. Our Raptor fixtures, the larger ones like this, are being outfitted with tapped holes in the bottom, so that you can just take the locating studs, screw them into the bottom of our Raptor fixture, and it now fits into a Piranha subplate. So now if you've got a customer that happens to have a bunch of Raptor products, they want to get into the 0-point system, we have a way to do that as well.
So Scott, we got another question,
Yeah.
if we can. Repeatability to the center.
It's 4/10 is our repeatability. The question was what's the accuracy of the repeatability of the jaws to the center of the vise? So every time you open and close the vise, it'll repeat to the middle within 4/10. As far as the jaws, I don't have all the jaws here for the Gapper. We do have a wide variety in our new catalog, which just came out. We didn't have them all here to show you, but we do have a wide variety of different heights, machinable type jaws, so those are available. You get the idea of how they actually go in. Let's see, the bed height also, I was telling you about the height, the bed height. The bed height's roughly 74 and 63 millimeter, depending on if you're doing the 300 or the 170. Somebody out there is wanting to know what the bed heights were, so they are 74 millimeter and 63 millimeter. And that's actually to, and I say the bed height, it's actually to this part of the vise or to the carrier jaw here of the Gepard, just so you know who that is. One of the other questions that we get out there too, with any vise, but is basically jaw lift. And the reason people ask about jaw lift, if you're putting your vise, putting a part in, as you start cranking down on it, the jaws have a tendency to lift. And competitors have a lot of jaw lift, and that goes for standard Kurt vices all the way to all of our self-centering vices. We have the lowest jaw lift in the industry. It's less than 3 thousandths. Our competitors range anywhere from 5 on up when it comes to jaw lift. And we have replaced a couple of our competitors in the field because of the jaw lift. And one of the reasons I brought up jaw lift, you'll notice when I showed you the vise, the jaws are actually riding on 2 steel rails that are actually coated, which helps give stability to the movement of these jaws. And also the low bed height. Those are the 2 reasons we get a lot lower jaw lift than anybody else out in the market. So.
And that was a question that came through, so great question.
Okay. I mentioned the clamping pressure, which again goes with the low bed height and also the rails as well. Another question we get often is, do we have hydraulics or pneumatic? Currently we do not. These are manual. Those are in the works. I can't say exactly when they'll be ready or where we're at on that, but as of today we do not have a hydraulic or pneumatic, but it is something that is actively being worked on. Another question we get with this line, well, a lot of our lines too, but this one in particular, do we do specials? And it depends, I guess, on what your definition of specials. Specials, do we do a special vise, a one-off, a typical one special vise? No, we don't do that. As a rule, when we're doing specials like that from the manufacturer, you know what it would be just to do, if we had to do a special vise and we had to do one of them, it's just not cost effective to do that. Where we get into specials are the risers and the plates. So we have had people ask, and we have had, actually we're doing a riser plate now that's fitting on a Sudacoma 160. It's a special riser that's going to actually take one of the Piranha plates to go on top of it.
So Scott, one of the questions, and I know we talked about the jaw lift. So if we're thinking of the tolerance, maybe is it 0.003 jaw lift, or perhaps a point, and it looks like 0.0003. So I'm guessing
jaw lift is 0.003.
There you go. Thank you.
So yeah, it's right at 3 thou, not 3/10.
Okay, perfect.
Now another question we get a lot too, what if we don't want the locating studs? You love the vise, you like the way it works, you don't want the locating studs. Well, on the small vise, the 75mm, we actually have one that doesn't have locating studs. It's a direct mount. In fact, we just quoted a guy wanted 30 of these, and he's wanting to put them on his own fixture. He doesn't have 0 point, doesn't want 0 point, but he likes the way the vise works. So we have the perfect solution for him. It's got a great footprint, and so he can pop these on a fixture plate, a tombstone, mill angle, or a tombstone angle. So that is one of the other questions. When you don't want the locating studs, you can do one of two ways. These can be ordered without the studs, so basically it's a blank bottom. You can put in your own mounting, or if you do have this, you can take these locating studs out because they're just screwed in their press fit, and then you can run your screw through your subplate and attach it that way. So there's two different versions of being able to do that. As far as being able to tie it down from the side like a traditional vise would be with a vise clamp, there's nowhere really to do that on these, so you do have to fasten it somehow from the bottom.
Got another question that came in here. Are those jaws or your left hardened and suitable for first and second operations?
They are. They are. These are actually hardened. Like I said, these are with the serrations on these, 62 Rockwell as well. And these are just tool steel machinable jaws.
Good question.
One of the other questions we also get to is that people want step files. Well, step files are available. They're not on the website yet. Just email your local representative or me or Nick, and we can get you the step files. There is 3D solid models.
And there is an info box right on the website too that they can easily click as well and submit and request it as well.
Yep, I don't know if you heard that, Nick said there's an info box on the website that you could submit your request on the info, and we can get you that way. One thing I wanted to show you too on this fixture plate itself, if you're only using one vise, we've had people out there in the field, they'll go ahead and put their vise on. Well, you notice on the back side of this plate, the holes are open. So somebody said, well, what do we got to do to, you're going to get chips and everything filled up into these holes? Well, we actually have a locating stud that's been, basically it's flat on the top and it sits below the surface. So basically you're going to stick it into the receiver hole and it blocks the hole. And then you lock it down and you're not going to get any chips in it. And to get it out, you use a 6mm screw. You just tighten it in and pop it right out. And also, I will caution you, and we learned this through trials, if you're only going to do one vise on a double plate, triple, quadruple plate, any of these locating or these receiver holes do need to be covered with a locating stud. Otherwise, they don't actually hold the vise down as tight as it needs to be, because these have to be engaged also to get complete engagement throughout the entire plate. So just keep that in mind.
So Scott, maybe we touch on, again, I think there was a question on the hardened and suitable for first and second operations. I think we were questioning on the vices for first and second operations.
Yeah, and that would be this one here, and this was the 62 Rockwell Serrated Jaws. This is the vise we would recommend on first op or raw material castings. Not everything you need to have with serrated. However, if you got a finished part that you really want to hold on to, that's where you would want the Gepard using the machinable jaws. If you do use the standard jaws that were popping in and out, these are also hardened with the serrations too. So those could be used for your first and raw casting as well. Typically, we would recommend, and because of the 0 point, we would recommend probably using these for your first stop. Then you can see how quickly you can take the vise off and put the machinable jaw one back on to do your profiling. Hopefully that answered your question.
Yeah, if not, comment again and we'll get it addressed, but that's a good question. Thank you.
Anybody else got any questions out there? One thing I want to mention to you on the machinable jaws, because of the way they attach to the vise, you'll notice they got the 5-point attachment, but they're below the bed of the vise. And what that does now is I've got a lot more machinability on these jaws than what our competitors do because of the way it's held. So because this gets popped in, if I Just show you on here. You'll notice this whole part of the vise is what it's being held on. So it gets clamped in. So now I can virtually machine the entire part, or virtually the whole part of this machinable jaw, just as an FYI. They're also reversible. I didn't mention that. You can flip them around too. So if you're doing a little profile here and a little profile on the outside, you can quickly flip them around. And you actually got two parts, or two jaws, or two fixtures in one set of soft jaws.
Excellent.
These are stocked here in Dayton, Ohio. Like I said, they are manufactured in Switzerland. If it's something we don't have, and they do have it in stock, it's roughly about 2 weeks to get it over here. If somebody's in a real hurry and has to get it over here, obviously it could be, and I will tell you, there's no such thing from Switzerland as next day air. Next day air from Switzerland is 2 days. So, I don't advise that though. Yeah, on the 2-station vices.
Great. All right. Well, I think, Scott, if that completes our content, at least for this session, you know, for now, we appreciate you attending. Like I said in the beginning, we'll leave it open for another 5 more minutes. That way, if there are any more questions that you have, you know, you're more than welcome to, you know, ask away here, and we'll get things answered for you. But appreciate your time and attention today.
One thing I want, before you leave, one thing I do want to mention is your local representative, whoever invited you to the webinar, has this as a demo kit. So if you've got a customer out there that's looking at different kinds of work holding, make sure you get our rep involved and he can get out and actually show them the bells and whistles of this system. Just looking at it in a catalog doesn't do justice. Once you get it out there and demo it for the customer, that's really key. Because when you get out there and demo it, you start seeing some other things, and it kind of steamrolls into a larger project. So I just want to make sure you get them, and or if nothing else, give us a call so we know what it is you're looking for, what your customer's looking for, and we can help you get the right package together.
Okay, we got a question here. What is the repeatability of the quick change jaw?
That's a good question. I don't know when you take it on and off. I don't know if Dan is still on here. Dan, do you know what that is?
I do not.
Okay,
I
well,
want to say it's 2 to 3 tenths, but I don't know for sure.
Yes, we can find that and get that out to you though. That's not an issue.
yeah. Well, another question that came in, what is the clamping force on the Gepard?
4,000 pounds.
Great question.
8,000 on the snapper. And the real reason that is number one, you're vicing up higher on the vise, and also because you've got another add-on feature to the bed of the vise as well as with the jaws. So that's why you can't get as much clamping force on the Gepard version versus the snapper version.
Good question. Okay. Well, thank you again. And like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. We'll leave it open here for about 3 more minutes. So if you have any questions, by all means, we got the message board here, or feel free to contact us via email or your local rep. Thank you.
Or you can unmute and ask questions.
Yes.
You can do that too.
And thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. We appreciate you guys.
Thank you. Good meeting.